Hello everyone, welcome to the Mood Booster podcast.
Welcome in.
Episode 43.
43, 43.
This is genuinely a really interesting episode. We're searching for your life's meaning and reflecting on purpose, aren't we?
Yeah, it's a lovely episode. We really go straight in with unpacking like what purpose means to us and what we experience through purpose and all of those things and finding meaning in life and how that's changed over the years. And you posed some great questions about sort of whether that's a ego-driven thing or a biologically driven thing.
Just survival for purpose as well.
Yeah, really cool.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, we also speak about Frankl, good old Viktor Frankl.
Viktor Frankl, he was a Holocaust survivor who a lot of his work in psychiatry and psychology was all about purpose and how it's really interesting, but instead of we search for purpose and find it as a treasure, responsibility is what gives us purpose, and we really unpack it, don't we?
Mm-hmm. All of the mechanisms within that and his famous therapy, logotherapy. And
logotherapy.
Yeah, just bloody brilliant, great. I feel in my purpose today. No, I think ultimately we do come to many conclusions, but one of which being, as always, just finding purpose in the small wins and how to find purpose in those small things. So. Yeah, really lovely reflection, really lovely chat this morning.
Very inquisitive episode, isn't it? Very philosophical. Philosophical, very stoic and philosophical episode. It's wonderful, honestly. Really cool chat.
Yes.
I loved it.
You are a philosopher.
I am a philosopher,
so
indeed.
So is Viktor Frankl. So from one philosopher to another.
Thanks, Viktor.
Yeah.
It was lovely.
Fantastic episode. Lovely episode.
Indeed.
Enjoy.
If you don't have purpose, listen now.
Listen now.
Thank you.
Bye. Today's episode is sponsored by Breezy, a new AI therapy app created by London founder Becky, designed to help you feel understood and make real progress between therapy sessions.
Breezy doesn't try to replace a therapist. Instead, it actually gives you a safe space to talk things through, spot patterns, and get personalized steps you can use in your day-to-day life.
The app remembers what works for you, gives you tasks to try throughout the week, and integrates with your human therapy sessions to help you stay on track.
Built with mental health professionals and currently working with universities towards research and clinical trials, you can also opt in to shape the future of this AI mental health tool.
Use code MOODBOOSTER for 50% off an entire year subscription after a free trial. Just search Talk to Breezy with an I in the App Store today.
Hello everyone.
Buongiorno.
Welcome to the Mood Booster podcast.
Welcome in.
Episode 43?
43.
Sí.
My Spanish is just hanging on for dear life.
The Spanish is there still.
Yep.
Still Espanol.
Guys, welcome.
What an episode. I'm looking forward to this one.
Second week of Jan.
Yeah, we're into the new year.
I know. What are we talking about today, Charlie?
Very, very exciting prospect for this episode. We're talking about searching for your life's meaning and reflecting on purpose.
Absolutely love that.
Now, I brought this idea to you. I mean, we've always had this idea of what we can speak of with purpose. It's something that you and I both have spoken a lot about, a lot of reflection on. It's such an interesting topic, but I know we wanted to properly speak about it a couple of months ago, but wanted to wait until it felt right. Right
in the heart.
Right. You know what I mean?
Right in the heart, right in the bones.
Right in the bones.
In the soul of it all.
Bone marrow. Purpose of bone marrow.
Purpose of bone marrow.
There you go, question.
What is the purpose of bone marrow?
Don't know, but it tastes delicious.
I don't know, I'm not a chemist.
You're not a chemist.
Yeah.
Chemistry.
Sorry, I'm not a geologist.
There we go.
Yeah.
You've seen those memes where it's like when a geologist, is it a geologist?
The rock people.
Yeah, a geologist is packing up his things from work or gets fired, and it's just a picture of the strong men just picking up stones. It's so funny.
I've not seen that, no.
You know those videos of strong men picking up stones, like putting it on their knees and rolling back and grunting heavies when a geologist gets fired and has to go home and pack up his things. It's just him picking up a boulder and just heading... It's actually hilarious. It's really funny.
It does rock.
Rock on.
Yeah, rock on.
Rock on. Rock on. That's my purpose, is to rock on.
Yeah, so purpose is lovely, isn't it, to talk about?
It's an interesting one.
Can be quite overwhelming.
What is that?
Overwhelming.
What?
Overwhelming.
Lewis. Overwhelming.
Overwhelming.
Jeez.
Overwhelming to talk about.
Of course it can be.
Or just to think about as a concept, because if you said to someone like, what's your purpose in life?
Scary.
What the hell? Excuse me, I've just met you. Why are you asking what my purpose is in life?
Yeah.
But actually, we can break that down. And as we'll find out today, Purpose does a lot for our well-being, and having purpose can do a lot for our well-being. So we just wanted to have a little dabble there and see where we come to. We've got some brilliant research, some great philosophy and/or therapeutic foundations that we want to talk about from, of course, great psychiatrist and philosopher.
100%. Marcus is really, if you're new here, you'll learn that Dr. Marcus is the sort of resident psychologist. Although he can't call himself that yet.
Protected title.
Yeah, and I'm the resident stoic or philosopher. So.
Oh, sorry, I mentioned philosopher without sugar. I told you, protected title. Charlie protects that title.
Yeah, well, Socrates, Aristotle.
Oh, we actually speak about Socrates today, so that's cool. Anyway,
regardless,
exciting stuff. Very exciting. What are you saying?
What am I saying? A little bit tired. I've hurt my neck.
And your back, or
no, not the back, just the neck. I was in the gym the other day doing shoulders and.
Do you go to the gym?
Yeah, can you not tell?
Crickets.
There we go. Look at that.
Crickets.
No, I was just working out and obviously moulding my life's purpose of being on stage at Mr. Olympia.
Okay.
And just hurt my neck. Really sore.
Sure, not your back, just your neck.
I'm really sure it's not my back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other two though, definitely. No, but my neck's really hurting, so can't really look upwards.
Don't look up.
Great film. Is it a good film?
I can't really remember. It was around
Jennifer Lawrence
COVID
and
times, wasn't it?
Leo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got a whole lineup cast in there. I remember.
Of course.
Yeah. So you've hurt your neck.
I have. Me duele la nuca. I've hurt my neck in Spanish.
Wow.
Put it right there. There we go. Yep.
Cool.
How about you?
Yeah, good actually. I'm well. I slept beautifully last night, but really sleepy this morning. No, feeling good. Feeling great to be back at work this week and just being productive.
Of course, first week back. Yeah,
back at all of the jobs, having a great time with it, and just getting into the swing of things. Really, January. We're already time of recording. Well, it's the 7th of January, so we're like a quarter of the way through January, which is loco.
It's going quickly.
Guys, you're a quarter of the way through. If January's not the one for you, you've already a quarter of the way. It's practically over. So.
I'm not. Maybe. I don't know about that one, but I know your message.
Do you know what I mean?
And I mess with it.
You pick it up.
Pick it up. Down. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah. So. Yeah. No. Other than that, pretty good. You're dropping all the Spanish. That is something that I am. One of my goals is to be better at Spanish this year, and I'm just like I haven't had a lesson for like 3 weeks at this point, and I'm just getting a bit like. I said to Charlie yesterday, I was like, I'm falling behind. What I actually probably meant was I'm falling behind him, because he was like, what are you falling behind? I was like,
what? Who are you falling behind if not yourself?
Yeah, so, what I probably meant was you, because you're excelling and doing really well. And we said we were, whoa. I know it's me and only me. Like, just give me a second. Okay. Whoa. Put the brakes on, champ. Put the brakes on.
Did you call me a tramp?
Champ.
I think he's a tramp.
And that. Because, like I carried on saying yesterday, we wanted to do the thing where we like help each other learn by having conversations.
Yep.
And you already started out way better than me, and then now even better. So I'm like, this whole conversation thing's probably not going to fly too well, because it's just going to be like charity work for you. And then,
any practice is good practice. Literally, I tried practicing with yesterday. You're like, nope. I want to ease into it. You sound like Felix there.
I thought you were going to say any practice is charity work.
No. I mean, any practice is good practice.
Yeah.
Asking how you are and what your name is just solidifies it, doesn't it?
Okay.
And I need to practice because I was speaking French in my Spanish lessons. So how's that? I've not even spoken French in like 5 years.
Yeah.
So I could do with the practice.
Yeah.
So don't put yourself down like that.
Yeah, I want to continue that Spanish. I do have a lesson coming up later this week, but
nice. Just
feel like itching to get back to it. But I feel like I'm not going to be. I'll be great, obviously. Yay, I'll be
If you're rusty, it's also fine.
But yeah. But yeah, no, my handstands were amazing yesterday.
Yeah.
Another goal of mine.
You're actually doing really well, I should say.
Thank you.
Genuinely, for anyone listening, Marcus is excelling at handstands. Not even 4 months ago, you couldn't kick up. Like, you would just go, like...
I'll take that. We have
20%.
been saying 4 months for...
Okay, half a year maybe. Now you're genuinely able to hold a handstand.
It's
and
so
it's
cool.
Actually fantastic to see.
Yeah.
I think this isn't meant to be me putting me there, but I've been trying them for years. You're genuinely getting quite close. Because you're consistent and you're just trying them out. It's great to see. Yeah. Honestly, it is.
Thank you very much. One thing about me is I was born, I don't know what it is, and I don't want to go into all of that, but like I know I have like predisposition for bigger, stronger muscles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't get me wrong, I don't have them right now because I don't see laughing. What's funny about that?
I have a predisposition to being big and strong.
So you've said that to me before. My brother said that to me. Like, I know that. So you're laughing, but
it's
you
just
said it.
The sentiment of it is quite funny.
Why?
I'm just naturally just really gifted. I'm just naturally really strong and huge and
Not necessarily gifted.
I think it's a funny sentiment.
No.
Saying I'm predisposed to being big and muscly.
I don't think so.
You don't think it's funny?
No, I think...
You can't see the comedy in that?
No. I think it's just an observation, like a neutral observation.
Fair.
Which I do have...
Maybe you're a bit socially stunted and we can work on sort of social cues.
No.
No?
Like I'd say... Anyway, it doesn't matter. It just is the case. Like my legs are freaking huge, out, and I don't train them. I've just got big calves and big quads. So I think from that, I most certainly am not there yet, but I feel like I started from a place of my muscles already just being kind of okay. And when I started them last summer, my shoulders immediately bulked out a little bit.
Yeah.
And people were like, "Oh, your shoulders are looking strong." And even you said your shoulders are looking well. I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing the least." But again,
3 chin-ups a week is nuts.
Yeah, it just kind of happens quite quickly.
I do see that, to be fair.
Yeah. In terms of body composition, the muscles are there. The fat is also there, but I don't really. Yeah, it's just a neutral observation.
Neutral observation.
Exactly.
There you
so
go.
You are good at things.
Oh, thanks, man. That's really kind of you.
Yeah.
There we go. I'd love to hear that. I'm good at things.
You are.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you've got some boobs.
Excuse me?
You do have boobs.
I've got boobs.
You've got a strong chest.
I do, thanks.
You have a strong chest.
Appreciate that. It's actually when I started working out before, I do want to go into purpose, but when I started working out beforehand, I do want to actually get onto the topic we're interested in speaking about. But when I was younger, I started working out 14, 15. It was the only thing I worked out. I do chest day 3 times a week, and I do maybe shoulders once every 2-3 weeks. I wouldn't train legs at all. No, seriously.
The classic.
And I remember distinctly, I went to a house party when I was, I think, 16, and I just wore a t-shirt. Everyone was like, "God, what's happened to you?" And because my chest was showing through a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And I just worked it out even more.
You loved that, didn't you?
Oh my God, my ego.
The reinforcement.
It was the first compliment I had as a person when I was growing up like that. It was great. Leaned so far into it. That's body dysmorphia came into it as well. But alas, that's another topic for another day.
Yeah, Wednesday.
And it means next Wednesday. But it also means that now, even though I don't work it out, it's just naturally quite strong as well, which is quite nice. So
yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Well, cool. Nice. Good talking about muscles.
Muscle. Welcome to the Muscle Podcast, everyone.
That's on brand for sure.
Welcome to the Muscle Podcast. I'm sure everyone who's our listeners are loving this chat about muscles and body composition and working out. We literally before this were like, let's just have a bit of a casual chat and just sort of see where we end up and get into purpose. And here we are chatting about muscles and working out.
My usual topic of conversation.
Marcus is stoic masculine nature, obviously.
Yeah. We're out both alphas.
Of course.
Funny. This is another aside, but I was listening to a podcast yesterday.
Yep.
And you know how the Andrew Tates of the world are you need to be an alpha male, and they're making all.
Of course.
The definition of alpha male is that there's only one alpha male.
Mm-hmm.
So being that influencer that's telling everyone to be the alpha.
Yeah.
Ironically, they can't all be an alpha male because there is according what an alpha male is there is only one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of
And he is me.
That is you. Andrew Tate just doesn't know it yet. You're coming in.
Well, I know him. He is me. You're right. What the hell was that?
You just said you're Andrew Tate, didn't you?
No, not Andrew Tate. This is a bit alpha.
Okay, this is ridiculous. Purpose.
Yes, purpose. I actually want to go into what you said there earlier.
Okay.
You mentioned that purpose can be so helpful for our well-being when we have it. On the contrary, as we enter the conversation, from someone who's been in a place before where there's not been purpose, and someone asks you anything remotely like, "Hey, what are you up to? What's your job? What are you wanting to do with your life?" AKA, what is your purpose? It's a really scary question, I think.
Oh, it's hella scary.
It's terrifying. So,
yeah,
in the modern world, our purposes are quite askew.
Yeah.
We have to all find a path or a journey. And an interesting dynamic that I think we can witness is, hey, maybe thousands of years ago, our purpose was to survive, right? And maybe, hundreds of years ago, it was to be a great warrior or a great farmer, etc. You had these categories. And maybe even 80 years ago, your purpose was to be in a job, for like 60 years because that was how it went. Now, a lot of young people, why it's such a hard time is that there isn't a sort of set role that you play in society where you can leverage your purpose onto, I think.
Okay.
People are now in and out of jobs more than ever. Mm-hmm. And I think it's why it feels like quite a hard time right now to try and find a said purpose, because the idea without a purpose, as we both know, is quite scary. So I wanted to ask you, knowing all of that, how scary it is to not have purpose, how the times are changing. Here we go. Do you think purpose is ego-driven or a biological function that we have?
Woof. Okay.
As in, do you want me to explain more?
Yeah, please do.
So purpose, is it something that our egos are trying to sort of comfort? Is it something that our egos are trying to say, hey, we need a purpose so we can feel good? Or is purpose, do you think, actually a biological thing that humans need to survive?
When you say our egos need, do you mean like it's
the part of the brain to soothe?
It's soothing our it's helping our well-being.
Yeah, it's helping, but through
like
ego, through
mentally, cognitively, it's giving us more, as opposed to like it's a cognitive process, active, rational thought, as opposed to an innate biological drive.
Yeah.
Both, which will always be the case in any form of psychology, which any psychologist would say. Okay. Unless you're like first year undergraduate and you're like nature or nurture. Yeah. It's always both. But like I'm an evolutionary psychologist, so I believe that we are driven by we behave as a function of our biological driving mechanisms that have evolved over time. That's really poor English. But the drives that have evolved over time, which are through evolution, biological by nature. Okay. So it gives us, we function by having a purpose to go out and do these things, or to look after someone, or to feel connected to someone. They all help us survive, having a drive in life to do something, to succeed. Yeah. And the drive, or the purpose from an evolutionary perspective, is to pass on your genetics and to survive. So how that looks, how that manifests in behavior is I mean, a whole spectrum of our behavior is all about survival and passing on genetics. But of course. I need to go, like you mentioned in every example there, it was a work-based purpose, so your career, which I wanted to say is not necessarily the only purpose that we can have, but all of those examples were. It
could be your life purpose, being a farmer or a warrior.
Yeah, I know, but then you said, and now young people are really struggling because there's not one set career, for example.
One set purpose in life.
Yeah. And even 80 years ago when you said people can have a career, like there was arguably more to purpose than just someone's career. But back to the point, from an evolutionary perspective or a biological perspective, we go to work to earn money to be able to feed ourselves and our kin and to survive that way, which before would be going out hunting and finding food to be able to survive, all of those sorts of things. It's a modern manifestation of that. Those are all coming from the original purpose of surviving and passing on genetics.
Of course.
Now 100% we have so much more complex thought and cognition, and there's so much more to us than just an innate biological drive to survive. And that's where the cognition comes into it, our thinking, our emotions, our connections, our love, our passions, all of those things that are interconnected, and arguably could come from those evolutionary mechanisms, because we are also, psychologists argue that we have evolved to feel pleasure in life, and all of those things, and purpose and pleasure go hand in hand. But I would say purpose is also hugely something that helps pacify, to use your words, pacify or soothe our egos. It gives us motivation. Solace. It gives us a reason to be here. It gives us, in existential times of crises, it gives us a grounding, all of those things. And they're all like cognitive processes that we use to help keep calm, reduce stress, look after ourselves, and reduce low affect or depression or sadness or whatever it is. So it's definitely a combination in my mind. I don't know if that answers your question. I was kind of I felt like a bit of a.
How's that fence feel? Yeah.
It's
interesting. I do definitely agree. I think both sides have arguments. The reason I ask is because I think the timeline is important to witness and to sort of look at as well. I think definitely purpose used to be far more about your lifestyle, your survival, about surviving and passing on your genetics now as well. And some people's purpose is now still to have kids and to raise a family, and that's absolutely fine as well. But we saw, I think, that sort of survivorship, the hunting and the gathering, if we're going back to that, turn into, different roles that you used to play in society. Societal roles would often give people a lot of purpose as well. As we start to break these down, these societal roles, or these gender roles, for instance, or allow anyone to do anything in the world, especially as we sort of even take away or move away from the society where we have a job for 60 years. Now you can do anything. That does leave a lot on the playing ground, or whatever the phrase is, to be able to try and carve your own purpose or find your purpose. But when we used to, I think we can observe, which is a fair comment, be given a purpose by society. Now we have to find it. That's an interesting shift. So I am curious as whether it is purely survivorship, whether it is purely biological, or it actually is far more ego than we think.
So you're saying where potentially roles were prescribed to us more historically,
which would give us purpose because we were given it. Although we didn't necessarily like the roles.
It's hard to know.
I'm not saying the roles were good or that we liked them, and I wasn't alive 100 or 200 years ago.
Yeah, it's hard to know.
Is that your point?
Yeah, and it's also defining, I feel like we should define what purpose is, because it's just, by what you're saying, it's saying, oh, I have a role, therefore I have purpose, and that's not necessarily completely what purpose is. Like, just having a role in society isn't always a purpose.
Well, what's purpose to you?
There's different facets to it, and I know we're gonna speak about Frankl's
Viktor Frankl.
Yeah, Viktor Frankl, which we can go into now. Or
well, to you, what is purpose, at least?
Yeah, so
in your mind,
to me, purpose is it is having a role, and I think that comes back to even things like the social identity theory of like knowing your identity and how it fits in with your community and your wider society and your wider social network. So my purpose is like you say, that role within that wider community and that wider network, whether that's the community leader for, in my case, like a run club community leader, or the pastor, or the parent, or whatever it is, that is your role that you see in a social context, and that definitely makes sense. And within those roles, there are expectations of you and things that you behaviors that you enact to fulfill that role. So that for sure makes sense, that a role gives you your purpose. But I feel like purpose to me also is something that transcends beyond the here and now and the realms of like social context. It's potentially things that transcend beyond even this life, whether that's giving.
It's a great point.
Purpose is giving things. I see my purpose is like creating things or giving things that will last beyond me or help.
Legacy.
Yeah, potentially legacy, but I feel like that's also ego driven.
It is. Yeah, I was about to ask.
Things that will help other people, that are just going to help other people and maybe impact their life, that I'll never necessarily know about, but as long as I'm trying my best and help people the best way I can, that I'll be able to help people, and that gives me purpose to be able to know that I've for example asked the barista how their day was and seen the smile on their face, and just being kind to that person has maybe had an impact on their life that I'll never know. And even in that in itself, that's given me some sort of, you could call it selfish, but it's given me some sort of purpose to be kind in that moment and to be a kind person, and that in itself is a value that I feel like is part of my purpose. So it's not just a role of being a psychologist, a lecturer, a community leader. It's also living out values and experiences that transcend beyond me and my life as I know it now, and will last and hopefully make a better society and a better world.
So it's not, so purpose isn't just about what you do, the things you have, or what you build. It's really a way of being. You are the purpose. Purpose is you, is what you're saying. Like, that is the way of who you are and the way you act and hold yourself, the values you hold.
I think so. And also, that isn't unidirectional, it's bidirectional. And what I mean by that is, it's like, it's not just how I put myself into the world. It's also how I interpret the world. I do think, which we don't necessarily think purpose is.
Interesting.
But it's actually, my purpose is also to try, like I'm not good, like no one's perfect at this, but to always try to, interpret things in the best way I can, and find joy in things that aren't joyful, or find joy in the everyday, which we're doing here. I think that's also a purpose that I have, to like live the best life I can, from a humanist perspective. Like, if we're talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs or whatever, like I'm trying to find joy and actualization through just being happy, and my purpose as a human being on this planet is to also try and be happy. So it's not only what I'm putting out there, it's bi-directional in what I'm taking from the world, in a sense of what I'm taking from the world and how I interpret good, bad, everything else in between, things that happen to me. I think all of the above can fit into meaning and purpose. It depends how. I think another thing about purpose is like your intentionality and your awareness of all of this. Because often we can float, especially when things in our life are easy or kind of neutral. We can just float without necessarily needing or having a purpose. It's when things are really hard that we like, crap, what's my purpose? Or what's the meaning of... And when we say purpose, we're using the word purpose a lot, but it's used interchangeably and synonymously with meaning. The meaning of life. The meaning. So like,
what gives you
meaning of my life, meaning of life, exactly. So when, I don't know, we go through something really hard, that's when often we think about, what's the meaning of this? What's the meaning of life? What's the meaning of my life? Okay, what's my purpose? What's the purpose of all of this? Which often then, when you need that because of the bad thing happening to you, it's not necessarily there, because I think finding meaning and purpose takes continued preemptive daily work.
This has been probably said on most podcasts now in the world, but exactly what you're saying there. There's a famous aphorism: hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. I don't know if this is a bit extreme, but I feel like right now we're almost in society going through quite a hard time. I feel like we are, especially for younger people.
For sure.
And that would be creating stronger men, but it's in those harder times. People, it was an old aphorism, so it was pretty rooted in, people. That's the aphorism, regardless. Basically, with hard times, we do search for meaning. We search for purpose. And whether that is a role or looking inwards, as you're saying, which I think is a really interesting take. I think some of the things I'm observing from what you're saying is that not only do you search for it externally, whether it's through creating this, for instance, it's internally coming from there. It's actually coming from within. That's where the purpose is. You're saying, I want to spread joy. I want to connect people. I want to build a community. All these things are because your values are this, right? And so whilst what we're doing here, the Mood Booster, the podcast, is an extension of us because we're building it, really it's you living the most authentically you can and in line with your values. Technically is the purpose, but then that brings it back to are you purpose, which is a whole nother segment of what we want to get onto. No, it's just interesting to hear how you define purpose and really what it means to you, because I know we've both spoken about it's scary in life when you don't feel like you have one, because you feel like
100%,
and it's probably quite easy for us to sit here and talk about the importance of it, how easy it is to have when we have quite an easy purpose to grasp onto with something that we're building as well.
Yeah, I think another thing, you're like asking for my reflections, I think is really like speaking personally now, not just my thoughts about what it is. I think I have like generally floated, I am someone who sort of, I don't attach it to a religion, and that's something that gives a lot of people purpose heavily, which is something to think about, like the origins of religion and
the absence of it,
and the need for purpose as human beings. We all have a need for purpose, and therefore, if you don't have religion, then where does your purpose come from?
Where's your faith?
And that's something that I sort of align with, and those sorts of questions. And I think that personally speaking, purpose is something that you carve every day. Carve in the small little, this coffee tastes lovely, and that's literally why we live and try and live and breathe, finding joy in the everyday, finding joy in the everyday, finding purpose in the everyday, finding reflection in the everyday, being present and grateful in all of those things.
It's your habits.
They all go hand in hand into just giving you a meaningful sort of purpose-driven life. And that's, again, I appreciate that's when things are easier, but, you know, even when things are hard, finding joy and finding those little wins is actually more important, you know, because the bigger wins are so much harder. I think on a speaking slightly larger scale, because everyone has things that I think are more sort of a chronic source of purpose, as opposed to like, oh, this coffee tastes nice, or I don't know, the flowers look lovely in the garden this morning, whatever. My purpose, I didn't feel like I had really for some time, which was fine. Like, I didn't necessarily need a huge purpose in terms of, you know, like I say, religion, or a lot of people's purposes, like children, for example, or whatever. I found like doing this over the last year has really given me some sort of purpose that I absolutely love, with every like part of me. And it's it's been amazing to sort of grasp onto that and feel that. And you know, people have always asked me over the last year, like, oh, how's it all going? And I especially towards the beginning, I was just like beaming ear to ear, like, I feel like I've got a spark, and I've got this passion I'm really fulfilling a passion. And you know, passion and purpose, I know you want to touch on it in a bit, but like do go hand in hand. And I feel like because of doing this, I've got some sort of drive and a purpose to, like, I think build something bigger than me. I know it's, you know, someone, a cynic would be listening being like, oh, you're doing a podcast, relax. But like what we're doing, our mission
we know the size of it.
Our mission is so much bigger.
That's what matters most.
We sat down on the weekend and went through, we just had like an MOT of all of this stuff, and you know, the mood booster in general, and just whatnot. We went away and just did like loads of work and focusing on that. And I intentionally started it and said, Charlie, right, before we get into all of the above, let's just have a moment to reflect, like, what are our whys? What is your why? What is my why? And let's just like be intentional with taking some time to think about that, writing that down and sharing that with each other, because all of this comes from those whys and those purposes, I believe. And it was really nice to sort of understand that, not only internally, because it was an exercise to just reflect, but also share that with each other and learn from each other. Like, okay, well, this is where we're coming to the mood booster from, and all of those things. Because it was a good place to start, because in my mind, the purpose is the foundation of like the why we're doing it, and the meaning is the foundation of it. And I feel like that is something that then can be mirrored in life in general, for not only us but for everyone.
Well, it's a really interesting way you frame it. I think the reason why I was so curious about ego and how that plays into purpose is because what I've witnessed from, you know, a few people I've spoken to who have been older, who've achieved quite a lot in their life, whether it's built and scaled and maybe sold a company for millions, whatever it is. When you speak to these people, they have this huge purpose, or they had this huge purpose in their life. But when they reach a certain age, it often, like, they turn inwards instead of keeping on searching for purpose externally, whether it's building something in the material world or selling, or
for sure,
let's say money, just because that's a very easy example. But from what I've observed with some people who've achieved quite a lot, they'll do the big thing, they'll reach the top of the mountain, proverbial mountain, and then turn inwards and realize that they need to find purpose and meaning within. There was a guy I used to train with at my gym. He a tech CEO. Can't remember the name of his company. Like, I can actually, but I'm not going to say it regardless. He scaled his company, sold it for millions. I was working out with him, and he was really interested in meditations. The book by Marcus Aurelius about meditating. I was asking him, what are your interests? Are you going to build another company? He's like, no, I've done it. I've seen what's at the top. He said he'd met with some of the best people in the world, and he was like, maybe not the world, but he said he wasn't interested necessarily in doing it all again and scaling it again. And why I bring it back to ego is, do we need to go through the arc of building something so big, so much bigger than ourselves, of what we attribute purpose to be? Do we need to get to the top of that proverbial mountain to realize and see it's actually never been about that? And can we not realize that until we're at the top? I know you and I have spoken about this months ago when we were in that square next to Bond Street. Do you remember? We were on the grass. We were speaking about it. It's a bit similar to the origin of Buddha. I was telling you about that story as well. How, I mean, I can quickly say it now. The story of Buddha originates with Siddhartha, a prince born into luxury in ancient Egypt around the 6th or 5th century, who renounced his privileged life after witnessing suffering. So he began to seek out truth as a wandering wandering person, eventually achieving enlightenment, becoming the awakened one under a Bodhi tree, discovering the middle way between indulgence and extreme self-denial, and then dedicated his life to teaching others how to end suffering and reach enlightenment. Essentially, I'm not going to go into whole Buddhism here, but the story of Buddha is that he had everything. He had the purpose, the wealth, everything that he had, realized that this wasn't actually where purpose and true meaning lies. It lies within, which is where a lot of Buddhism and meditation comes back to, is looking inwards with values and meanings. But are we not able to fully commit to this until we have built the proverbial empire or scaled the proverbial mountain? Because I know, hear me out here, I know you're tutting and like rolling your eyes almost at this, or like questioning it.
No, not at all.
Well, maybe not rolling your eyes, but you're like sort of seeing the holes in it. But I wonder if we didn't have this at all, if this wasn't here, would we be able to so confidently sit here and say, yeah, purpose is within my person?
I think we could, should, and do, because that talking, which I agree with to some extent, implies that every single person on this planet is going to be a high-flying business owner or reach the top of a proverbial mountain.
Yeah.
For most of us, humans live mundane, boring,
normal lives,
average lives.
Yeah.
We don't all do these high scales and mountains and
of course,
business own and all these things.
Yeah.
We all find purpose in our lives in the average, and that's what we're doing here. Yeah. And for even more reason, the end destination, I agree with. The getting there, less so, in terms of what I mean by that.
Needing to scale the mountain.
Yeah, I don't think we have to scale the mountain to realise the top isn't where it comes from. For some people, fine. If that's how you've got there, great. But not everyone will get to the top of the mountain. Not everyone wants to get to not everyone wants to be a business owner or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
But the end destination, it comes in from within, 100% agree with. And our purpose and our meaning.
It's how we get there is...
yeah,
it's up to us.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing here. We're preaching. We're talking about introspection and reflection and all those things.
Yep.
Because we believe that ourselves, and we don't need to be these high flying people that have these huge things. Like that's something we can all practice on a daily basis. To whether it's to find our meaning and our purpose, or whether it's to find the joy. I mean, all of them are. They're not mutually exclusive. They all go hand in hand. Yep. I don't think we need to be these. Yeah, I keep repeating myself.
No, it's a very interesting point. And actually, one I agree with. Even just on a quick reflection, not everyone wants to do that.
No,
and that's probably a little bit of a self-indulgent way to see it.
Yeah,
I was curious because we are essentially with what we're trying to do, scale our own proverbial mountain here. I think we are. We are. I think you and I have spoken about it a lot, how much this gives us as well. Mm-hmm. But I'm just curious, if it was all taken away from us, how would purpose feel then?
But you had a really good point to me on the weekend, because I was unashamedly like, I love all of this so much, and I'm so happy with it. I would be, hypothetically speaking, if we sold or did whatever, I would be heartbroken. Yeah. And you were really okay, well, it's all of that is a material thing. Yeah. What is it doing for you internally? What is it?
How are you growing?
Yeah, how are you growing? And that is so important, and that is ultimately what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And which I did have in my whys. I was very much, this is something that transcends far beyond me, and I'm helping people and all of those things, which I can do regardless of whether it's through the mood booster or through anything else. So it's, I guess, what we keep coming back to is the internal and finding those. And I mean, also just coming back to some maybe more. What were you going to say?
No, I was about to say, bringing it back to Viktor Frankl. I know that we were going to say it. We can see, although we can say that purpose is so internal, we can see the impact or the extent of what having an external purpose can do, especially if it's not there.
Yeah.
There was a story of Viktor Frankl that I'd actually like to go into, if that's all right. Like the story about the man in the camp with the date as well.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you start with...
Yeah, no, well, I was just going to say before we go into like this, because we've spoken a lot about like purpose and meaning coming internally and all of those things. I do think it's important also just to say purpose and meaning, not only something that I'm sure a lot of you resonate with is important to have in life, but purpose and meaning has been associated with increased well-being. So it's not just like a concept that we're talking about here. Well, it is a concept we're talking about, for the sake of, but we're not just talking about for the sake of it or our own feelings, like empirically shown to improve levels of or reduce levels of depression, reduce levels of anxiety. Systematic review here, which we'll put in the references, by Borum and colleagues in 2023 of 99 studies, found that people with a purpose in life had significantly reduced levels of depression and significantly reduced levels of anxiety.
Wow.
Another study in 2019, a longitudinal cohort study with 6,985 participants by, I'm going to butcher this name, by Ali Mujiang.
Classic guy.
In 2019. This was looking at mortality. Found significant people who over 8 years, looking at, like I said, just short of 7,000 participants aged 50 and above. They measured people's sense of purpose in life using different scales and questionnaires, and they found people with a greater purpose or sense of purpose
Stronger
in life
sense of purpose, yeah,
had higher rates of mortality, lived significantly longer.
Wow.
Through obviously their methodology in finding that.
So it is important. That's what we're hearing.
Hugely important. And I'm not just anecdotally saying that. I bring this in now to say, like, this is anchored in empirical evidence as well. Which I feel like we know personally. You as the listener will know, if you've been through something hard in your life, you think about what's the meaning of this, what's the purpose of this, what's the meaning of me, what's the meaning and purpose of whatever I'm going through. We always come back to those questions. And for me, speaking about what we're about to speak about in terms of logotherapy and things, there are none of these are perfect, whether it's cognitive behavioral therapy, whatever it is, whatever form of psychology and therapy we're talking about, none of them are perfect. But logotherapy and Viktor Frankl, as a humanist, psychologist or psychiatrist, very much scratches an itch for me.
He was right there, wasn't he?
Yeah. So please take it away.
Well, I was going to say, Viktor Frankl himself, he was in some camps, wasn't he, back in the Holocaust?
Yeah, he was a prisoner of the Holocaust.
And he was a survivor.
Yes, survivor.
Viktor Frankl's, one of his main ways that he was actually able to survive the camps, which he attributes his survival to them, was he had a manuscript that he was writing throughout on his teachings, on his works, and what he found throughout the camps. He's a psychiatrist afterwards, you said, right?
Neurologist, psychiatrist, and philosopher.
There we go. A bit of both of us. Then there you go. There was a manuscript that he was writing. It was taken by one of the guards at the camps, and it was burnt, or it was just discarded and gotten rid of.
Sound.
I know. And this was his purpose, he said, in the camps. And he made a real point to say that it was so easy, he thought, to give up and keel over because he had found his purpose had been taken away and just gone. He then made the quiet decision in the camps to say when he got out of the camps, he would make it his life's work to lecture in psychology, to write the manuscript again, and to be the forefront of this, of purpose and well-being and everything like that as well. He ended up with this purpose. He said he attributed his survival throughout the abhorrent conditions to the idea that he had set of this purpose to lecture, to write this manuscript. And he survived to tell the tale. He said there were a lot of stories in these camps that he was in of where people would just keel over and die when they didn't have a purpose. Their bodies would shut down. There was one I was telling you about, this man who had a date in mind. He was so convinced, one of the other Holocaust victims, he was so convinced about a date that they'd all be liberated. He was saying it loudly. He believed it with all his chest. And as it got closer to the date, he began to realize it might not be that date that they were being liberated. On the day, or the day after, it was one of them, the day after or the day of the date which he had supposedly said when they weren't liberated, he died. The man lost his life in the camp. And Viktor Frankl really leaned on it being such a key point to show that purpose isn't just mind. It has such extreme physical
100%,
such strong physical impacts. It can literally cause someone to die when they have no purpose in these awful conditions. That is, I know it's quite an extreme.
No, well,
it's fascinating.
Literally, evidence shows that mortality is directly impacted by our purpose and meaning in life, or sense of
stuff.
He proposes that we improve well-being primarily because it provides us with a why. So having a purpose gives us a why. to live for, and that's that why to live for. So whether this prisoner was like, why to live for this date, because then we'll be liberated, enabling us to endure almost any how. So enduring the torture, everything that they went through in the prisons, in the camps. So purpose gives us a why to endure anyhow, according to Viktor Frankl. Even in the most severe suffering, those with purpose found resilience, hope, and direction in life. Wow. Which again, I think is really it's something that I endorse, and it stands out a lot to me. I know anytime anyone's gone through anything hard, or speaking for myself, when you go through something hard in life, you always think about the why. You think more of the existential things of whether people look to religion when they've gone through something really bad, or well, what's the meaning of this? Or, people get into spirituality and think about, you lose someone, a parent dies or whatever, you then start to move towards, they're in another place and I'll see them soon, and this is why we're suffering, because for whatever reason, all leading back to what the meaning of it is, and trying to find and attribute meaning and purpose to that suffering in your life. Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit lighthearted for the depths that we're at now in this conversation, but there was that video that went viral where the guy was like, what on earth, when those guys online who say, I've found God or I found Jesus, just out of nowhere. I don't know if it was you I was speaking about. There was a video of this guy basically saying, if you're someone who's online and you've just said out of nowhere, you're like 30, you're like, I found God, I found Jesus. What did he do?
Yes,
what did he do in his life, which is so bad that he just out of nowhere found God?
That was me, yes.
But the message is a bit like, it gives you purpose. Maybe if someone's done something bad, or you want to believe, or you want any sort of faith or purpose, you lean to things like religion, which are huge external things you can lean on.
Yeah. Well, that's looking to repent and for forgiveness for all of the evil that has been.
That's another side of this conversation, which we should probably speak about in a different episode.
But speaking about Viktor Frankl, he is the father of logotherapy, which is a form of psychotherapy. It's based in humanistic psychology, and it basically it supports patients to find meaning and purpose through what they're going through, and in finding that meaning and purpose, it allows them to be empowered and find that motivation and that direction and that resilience and hope to go through what they're going through. It's not something that is not the word prescribed, but for lack of a better word, prescribed or accredited by the BPS in England. But I know in America,
BPS,
British Psychological Society.
Okay, yeah.
But I know in America, the equivalent, I believe it is sort of not. I can't think of the word. It's not promoted, but
approved.
An approved form of psychotherapy. And there are core principles to the logotherapy. So one being humans can endure suffering if they can find meaning in it.
Okay.
Meaning does
find meaning in the suffering.
Yes.
Okay.
Meaning does not remove pain, but it makes it tolerable, because we can get, if you think about it, like, I know why I'm going through this. I have a meaning to get through it. I can see an end to it. It gives you that hope. So it makes whatever that suffering is tolerable, because you have hope to get through it, because there's a reason to do so. Yeah. Purpose is often found through responsibility rather than happiness. Okay. So it's finding, which we'll unpack more, but like finding what I can do in my agency and autonomy and what I can bring to this situation. And we discover meaning by asking, what does life expect from me, rather than what do I want from life. So it's again giving me some sort of agency over life, as opposed to being sort of someone who's just willingly waiting for things to happen to me, if that makes sense.
That's fascinating, because that then goes back to locus of control, which you spoke about. It's the responsibility that you want to give yourself. Mm-hmm. Well, this is a huge thing in purpose, is a lot of people say as well. It's a bit of a extreme wording and meaning, and I don't quite like how it's worded, but it's no one's coming to save you is the sort of aphorism, basically meaning that you're responsible for certain things. But in the last point there, saying what does life expect from me, not what I want from life, is basically shifting purpose into responsibility. No? So you're saying, what am I responsible for? Who am I responsible for?
Yeah, and I want to be careful with how, and I know that this is critique that Frankl's received over the decades, is be careful with being like, oh, okay, you're suffering, you've got cancer, or you're a prisoner of war, for example. Yeah. Just find responsibility and then you'll be better.
Very reductionist,
That has been a critique of this, because it's so focused on like finding meaning in suffering. However, I mean, this is coming from someone who developed this through arguably one of the worst things a human can go through. But that is, I just want to note that is a critique that some people do mention, is it can potentially be flippant, or like, oh, okay, you've just been given, I don't know, God forbid, but you've got a terminal diagnosis. Just find meaning. But I guess what his argument is, okay, that is the reality. You've got a terminal diagnosis. We can either wallow in that and be, not have a good rest of our life, or we can try and do what we can to enjoy every moment that we have left on this planet. And therefore, this is what logotherapy is trying to enable. Let's find meaning in this suffering. Let's find a way we can find joy in the suffering and purpose in the suffering. Well,
leaning into it, of course, I completely appreciate your counterpoints, but leaning into the idea that if we take responsibility, whilst it might not ease the suffering, it gives it meaning, which would give it purpose, and in essence then ease the hardships that we go through. There's a great example that Frankl used about a man who wanted to die after losing his wife, and it goes back to... no, I'm not sure if it was in the Holocaust, but after Frankl, it could have been that Frankl was using it in therapy when he was in psychiatry. What was my train of thought? Sorry. You throw me off.
Sorry, he was asking the man.
Sorry, yeah, it's about reframing meaning to be, what are you responsible for, instead of what do I want from life. The example he used was an older man came to Frankl who was deeply depressed after losing his wife. Frankl didn't try to cheer him up, right? Instead, he asked, what would have happened if you had died first and your wife had survived instead? The man replied, she would have suffered terribly. Frankl then responded, then you have spared her that suffering, and that was your purpose. And what this does is it reframes the pain as meaning rather than failure.
Yeah.
Obviously, the purpose didn't remove the grief, but it gave the grief context.
So he's taking on the, for lack of a better word, the mission of being like, okay, I'm not the hero. I'm not reducing it, but like,
of course.
I've taken on this pain to stop her taking on the pain of losing me.
Yeah,
which then is a purpose in itself, right?
It's the last point of the part of logotherapy that you're saying. It doesn't say, well, what I want from life is miserable, I'm going through all this pain and this suffering and this grief. It's saying, well, I am going through this grief, that doesn't take it away, but it gives it meaning and context, saying, I didn't want my wife, I'd rather me to go through this than my wife to go through this, because I loved her. I'm going through this and that's my responsibility. And that in itself, in a form, can probably ease the pain, or at least give context to it. Again, it's quite an intense example.
Yeah, it gives the control, doesn't it, or some sort of meaning, obviously meaning and purpose is what we talk about, but like the reason as to, okay, I can now anchor this in a reason, so why I can go through this. Again, the meaning is to stop my wife having to go through this pain, so therefore I can carry that more. It makes sense to me. There's something I can carry, again, giving meaning to it.
I suppose a theme that's being picked up here, which I want to ask you as well, is passion versus purpose.
Okay.
Right? Is like what he's saying with giving it meaning, giving it context. So what he's saying is, when taking responsibility, it's shifting the idea of purpose away from your own passion, which often I think I know I've fallen not into the trap, but into the realm of my purpose in life needs to be my passions. I need to be doing my passions for me to actually have purpose. And if I'm not on the right path. I don't know if you've ever felt like that.
Yeah, I think passion and purpose go hand in hand.
Should your purpose be your passion?
Personally, I think... what do I think? I was going off topic here.
Well, no, it sort of segues in, because what Frankl's saying is that you can find purpose in responsibility, which is often what's actually being asked of you, not what you're asking from life. And often a lot of people, what they're asking from life is your passion, is what you enjoy, is what you want to do with it. Frankl's saying that with purpose, we can often find meaning in what we're being asked of.
Yeah. So you find passion in...
Not passion, purpose.
Yeah, but then passion comes from purpose, no?
Passion, no, is what I'm saying is... I mean, you might not be particularly passionate about finding purpose in your grief.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, so it's different.
Okay.
What I'm asking you is, whilst Frankl's arguing a lot of purpose isn't found in passion, it's found in responsibility that we're given from life.
Right, okay.
Often as humans, we seek out passion.
Yeah, I mean...
Can we find purpose in that instead? And should we?
Yeah, I'm sure we can and should, and I know that's what he says, that purpose comes from, like you say, not necessarily joyful responsibilities, but in some way it still allows us to be emotionally resilient, I think, in times of hardship, having a purpose. It's not necessarily passionate, but it allows us to feel less stressed, less confused, less anxious, because I've got resilience here, I've got hope here, I've got a reason to continue. There's that purpose here, which then reduces all of those. From his definition, it gives us a why to live for. Through any how, it gives us resilience, hope, and direction. So, and in having that purpose, on some level, it's not always about pure passion and elation, but it still gives us some sort of emotional impact. I think having that responsibility and being responsible over something like a community isn't always joyful and passionate, but it's still on some level affects your emotion in some way. It gives you that hope, or it gives you that resilience. It gives me I've got to keep going, even if would ordinarily feel stressed. I've just got to carry on and not necessarily wallow. Yeah, and be in self-pity, because I've got to carry on and I've got this responsibility, which according to him then allows one to be productive and carry on.
Interesting.
Yeah, so talking about the specifics, what his three routes to meaning.
Frankl's.
Yeah, creation, experience, and attitude are importantly, the three core routes to meaning, according to him.
Okay.
So creation being work, contribution, building something bigger than yourself. That if we can create in life, that will give us meaning and that will give us purpose. Experience, we feel purpose and meaning through experiences such as love, nature, connection, beauty, and all of those things don't have to be huge things. They can be small things, like feeling connected to the flowers outside, like I said earlier. All of those things are micro experiences, but also can be grand experiences that help us feel through experience, like we have a purpose and a meaning. And finally, attitude, so how we respond to unavoidable suffering. And I think this is what I was touching on earlier when I said it's not only what we give to the world, it's also how we interpret the world. It's how we choose to respond and how we choose to find or how we choose to interpret what we're going through. All of those three things give us a sense of meaning and purpose together. Importantly, he argued that even when control is stripped away, attitude and meaning remain available, which is why people which is why purpose is psychologically protected. So when we don't have control, but we do have, we are focused on our attitude and we focus on how we can look at the meaning of what we're going through. We are still protected psychologically, if that makes sense.
Kind of. Yeah.
Through those three factors. Yeah. If we work on those three factors, if for example, according to him, you've been given a terminal diagnosis. Sorry to use this horrible example, but you're given it. You don't have control over your life. You don't have control. You're literally told, in X amount of days, weeks, months, that's the end. If he argues, you could still work on. You can find creation through you don't have control over your life anymore, but you can still create. You can still find creation. You can still have experiences. You can still shape your attitude. And they don't have to be these big things like he was saying, and where this all came from, prisoners of war. Like, they can't create a business, but they create small interactions with one another. They create
manuscripts.
That's
what he did.
Whatever it was. And again, I'm very aware that can be reductionist, and I'm saying that through that lens. But,
no, people are doing it in this modern day. Like, there's that guy online. I unfortunately don't know his name, but he's very famous. He's very big on Instagram. He lost his leg in a car crash, and I think he went Colombia or something. Now he's made his whole page about the comeback that he's made. Very traumatic life experience. One could let it shape them completely. He's done it, but in a positive light of talking about his experience.
That's him creating.
Through the hardship and finding purpose in that.
So in logotherapy there's obviously lots of different ways that it's practiced or delivered, but there are three techniques used that I think are quite interesting, I think, as we're sort of drawing up here, because these techniques, I think, are things that we can actually enact in our daily life if we're going through something, or we're stressed about something, or I don't know. The example I was reading up on was like, if you're struggling with insomnia, these are some, I don't know, for example, how you can use these techniques to move away from that and to overcome it. So the first one is Socratic dialogue. Your favorite, Socrates.
Love him.
Within logotherapy, Socratic dialogue is the main form of dialogue from the therapist to the client. So the therapist probes. It's not advice giving, but it's guiding, questioning, and critical questioning to uncover meaning. So I'm going through this instead of just giving straight up advice and saying do this, do that. It's continually going inwards and thinking further and further and further about what I actually think about this, what I interpret about my life, what I interpret about the lives of those around me and what's going on for me. So having a Socratic dialogue, and again, maybe it just comes back to what we always say about, the introspection is thinking further inwards and critically so you can reflect on what you're going through, as opposed to just like keeping it surface level, being like, this is hard, this is absolutely awful, and that's the end of it. Because to be able to overcome it and find meaning in it, we have to think internally and go internally to find how we can find meaning, if that makes sense. Paradoxical intention is another form, which I think is interesting. Another practical bit of advice is actually doing something that, so say you're struggling, I don't know, with social anxiety. It's reducing anticipatory anxiety. That's the intention of this paradoxical intention, is doing things that make you uncomfortable, and encouraging clients to kind of wish for what they fear. Because if you wish for what you fear, it takes the power away from it, and it gives you reason to like look for it and go into it. And it takes that power away. Like I say, it reduces that anticipatory anxiety, because you have all of this thing over here, you're really nervous about this thing, or this thing's happening. Let's go back to the terminal diagnosis example. Let's humor the idea. Okay, so let's talk about, let's go into it. Let's not necessarily humor it, but let's go into it. Let's plan for, let's talk about your passing. Let's talk about the process and what will happen. And it's becoming sort of comfortable with that, and making it less of this huge thing up here that's got control over us, and actually something that we can
joke about.
Yeah,
almost.
we're at odds with, and we're not at odds with, but we're level with, and it doesn't have this power over us, if that makes sense.
So it's almost just like being quite humorous with whatever sort of hardship you're going through.
Not always humorous,
okay,
but seeing humility in it, and being on the same level with it. So whether that's through humor or just leveling it out and not seeing it to be this huge thing up here. Let's go into it. Let's face it. Let's talk about it. And finally, dereliction. I can never say this one. Is the attention is shifted away from symptoms towards meaningful goals or others. And this is something that we always speak about, but it's like, it's instead of avoiding something, it's adding something. So for example, like I said, with the insomnia one, instead of laying in bed thinking I can't sleep, this is really stressful. According to logotherapy, it's okay, well, let's reshift positively. What can I add? Let me read a book. Let me do something. Let me do some mindfulness. Let me add something, so I'm not hyperfixated on the fact that I can't sleep, because I'm focusing elsewhere. And I'm focusing on something that's adding to my life, and therefore, ironically, taking away the problem, because by doing the mindfulness, by reading and all those things, according to this, I'll have less focus on it, and therefore it won't control me, and I will be able to move through it. But importantly, I think all of those three components come back to one of his core principles is, instead of asking like, what do I expect from life, it's reframing it to what does life expect from me, and what control can I have over these things? Yeah. If that makes sense.
No, it does.
What meaning can I give to these things?
Or what does this give me? Is what am I responsible for, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It brings back to that example we used with the old man and his dead wife. Yeah. He's responsible for carrying that grief, and that's his purpose as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And on that note, I think the final thing I would say is that people feel broken and lost and scared and sad and depressed and all the things because they've not found their purpose or their
golden bullet.
Their golden bullet. But he argues that that's backwards, and the purpose emerges after commitment to trying to to commitment and working on it, as opposed to it just being there. You have to work
it's built.
for it.
It's not just found like treasure.
Yeah.
Very true. Build your purpose.
And the prime example is that husband whose wife passed away. And you'd think, like, what
for that.
Yeah, what purpose do you have in that? And I do believe, like, just saying, oh, well, it stops her suffering because you died first, like, she died first or whatever. There's got to be, there'll be a lot more to unpack from that.
Of course,
But that's just a very, I quite like it because it's a clean, simple example.
Just commit and begin with the small things, as we say. And the bigger thing of the purpose will look after itself.
I know. These things all go hand in hand, though. I think for me, what it just comes back to is, like, away from Frankl and all the things, it's finding joy in the every little moment. I know we anchor in huge sort of big things like religion and your social identity, your roles as a parent and all of these things. But you hear empty nest syndrome and all of those things. Like people then feel lost because their children have left the nest, and that whole role and purpose is not there anymore. And I think that is just an example to me of those. It's just a role, and it's a socially constructed role, whether that's my place within religion or my place as a parent. Ultimately, I think what we find is we keep coming back to that has to come in internally, and we have to find our purpose from our little wins, our little meanings, our little, everything that we do on the daily, and create that every day and intentionally create that, because all of those external things are external and therefore are fleeting and aren't promised to us. So we can only find that, I personally think, within.
Of course. Fascinating. Well, should we summarize that? I'm trying to think. We've obviously gone over a lot.
I kind of just did. I don't know.
Fair enough. No, but like where it starts, you think just going inwards and then like finding all the purpose in the small things as well, but also what you're responsible for.
Yeah,
it's
I
basically
think so.
the core themes of what we've gone over.
I think so. Yeah, like leaning into discomfort, maybe leaning into. This feels confusing, this feels worrying, this feels scary, but why so, and how can I maybe lean into it so I can therefore, I don't like using the word, but control it, and therefore, if I lean into it, control it, and think about it, and reflect on it, and go in turn, like, have the introspection, and also be level with it, I'm on the same level as it, whatever I'm going through, it can then allow me to see it for what it is and potentially see the meaning I can get through and how I can work with it. Whatever this hard thing is I'm going through, to as an agent who has autonomy. Okay, I'm someone who's going through this thing. It's not happening to me. I'm going through it with agency. What can I do with it? What can I make of it? How can I make the best of it? But I think it first takes that introspection, that leveling out, and that that positive thinking, the positive additions of adding things as well, to find the meaning in those difficulties. But that's when you're going through something specifically difficult. I think generally speaking, as a baseline, for me, like I said, it's finding joy in the everyday and finding little forms of purpose, like saying hi to the barista because I could see the smile on their face, and selfishly or not, that makes me feel like I've done something good in this world on the most micro of scales, because I've made someone's day, and that in itself is purpose. It's helping people. That's something that's a value I live by. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does.
What about you?
What about me?
Any other thoughts?
No, I mean, I think you've covered it nicely there.
Okay.
I think you've covered it well. I think it's I think, I mean, even bring it back to the beginning when you said to reframe it as not having to go through this mountain, not having to build this entire thing, and knowing that it's within us and that it sort of sits in your values. That's where the purpose is found and what you're responsible for, and always being sure to reflect and introspect on what you're going through. Is what's most important, I think. And because that really brings you to how you can actually find it. It's not found like a golden bullet. It's not found like a treasure, your passion or your purpose, sorry. It's not found like under a mound of sand where you have to dig it up. It's built and it's constructed, and I think it's found through daily habits as well, the small things that we've said. On
the small things, I think it's also like we're speaking about responsibility and finding like your responsibility through hardship.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe in being like, oh, what's my purpose? It's such a big question. No one's ever going to know.
Of course, yeah.
I think it's also breaking it down into like, okay, well, what can I do today that will help someone, or who needs me right now, or how can I help myself in this moment?
What
like
would be a good thing to do?
Yeah, those are all sorts of smaller things that can be helpful.
Yeah.
And also, it's not necessarily thinking. You mentioned at the beginning, like career is such a huge thing that's like causing people issues. I've certainly been there myself.
Me
like,
too. Yeah.
What's my purpose? Because I don't necessarily
Have
like
a role.
know or whatever.
Yeah.
And if life feels flat, it's like, okay, well, I don't know. It might go nowhere, but like it's better than nothing. Can I create something? Like what's a hobby? What can I create? Can I find connection with, like I say, going outside and speaking to someone? Like all of those things, again, like we always say, we might lead to something.
Yeah.
And when it feels like, importantly, like none of those are giving me purpose, you never know, and you don't need a lifelong mission always.
Yeah.
The micro forms of purpose, whether it's volunteering one day or going, I don't know, committing to one project of sewing this thing or crocheting this one thing, down to those small things, like that could just give you micro purpose in really hard times, and that can just be enough.
Yeah. Completely agree.
Yeah.
It's enough.
You are enough.
You are enough.
You are enough.
Even like a burnt chicken nugget.
I love myself, even though I look like a burnt chicken. That's my mantra for 2026.
Fascinating stuff. I want to talk about this more in the next episode as well. More in like, I don't know.
Loving yourself even though you look like a burnt chicken
100%.
nugget.
The chicken nugget episode.
That's just going to be titled episode 44, Chicken Nugget.
Well, do we feel confident that we can now find our purpose in life?
I feel like, to answer your question earnestly, we've not solved like the world.
No.
We both always say we are always becoming, we never become.
Yep.
Like some days I'll feel like I have a purpose, some days you'll feel like you have a purpose, some days we'll feel completely lost and like purposeless and all of the things, and like there's no meaning to life. Everyone goes through that. It's just a case of reminding yourself that is okay, and that meaning and purpose can be found in the smallest of things. And to try and anchor when you feel like there's no anchor, that it's okay, that, like I say, crocheting this blanket or whatever is my purpose today. Because ultimately, I've said it once, I've said it a million times, as do you, it's the small things in life. That's all we can do. We will never, I believe, you believe, we never fully become. We never, and speaking for purpose, therefore, I don't think we ever finally find a one big purpose in life that is like our thing. We're known for many things in life.
I think it's important to obviously take stock of that as well, and not put too much of yourself. Label it as a role, because if it's taken away from you, your purpose is gone. That's
the thing; it comes internally, not externally.
Yeah, because if you anchor it so much to an external purpose,
being a parent or whatever,
the kids leave the nest. Boom, who are you?
Yeah,
you're a doctor and you lose your job. Boom, who are you? Like you got to be careful with that. Yeah, that's why it needs to come from internally. And the responsibility. I'm someone who cares after people. I'm someone who does this. I'm someone who does that.
Which is why I really appreciated your point on the weekend of like, it's okay that we absolutely love and cherish this and it gives us purpose.
It's important.
That's great. But also beyond that, like, what is it about ourselves and what we're doing that is ourselves, not the mood booster? And what could that carry? What therefore could we carry beyond the mood booster?
Yeah, completely.
And it's important to always remember that.
100%.
Cool.
Purpose.
Purpose. Well, I really enjoyed that.
That was a wonderful episode.
I fear I waffled a little bit at times. Sorry, guys, for the waffle, but you know me.
It was lovely reflections.
Some thanks for the questions. I feel like I hope I answered them okay.
You did a great job answering them. No, for sure. It was wonderful just to unpack, because it looks different to everyone, doesn't it? Purpose, and it's just really interesting to hear how we all approach it. And there is no right answer, even though Viktor Frankl was very much had his own thoughts. It was doesn't necessarily mean it's right. If we resonate with it, and that's the most beautiful thing.
Yeah, for sure. So Great stuff. Most certainly boosted my mood.
Well, do you have any weekly mood boosts?
Talking of weekly mood boosts, I do indeed. So I think everyone knows what I've said before. I'm a lecturer at university, and I supervise projects, so like dissertations. And my students yesterday had their vivas, of which I sat in on, and they all did really well. And it was just
What's a viva?
Viva voce, it stands for, in Latin, oral examination, or
okay.
I think, yeah. But anyway, so their vivas was just part of their courses they have to do.
Nice.
And I'm someone who I will 100%, like, I know because I know the feeling. When someone's presenting to me, I'll be there like for the audio listener, I'm nodding and smiling hugely. But I'll be there like really encouraging them. But like genuinely, I started like that. But genuinely, I found myself just genuinely beaming ear to ear, just watching them, being like, I can see you're so good at what you're doing. You've put in the work, and I just really love seeing that, like, they've put in the work and then it coming to fruition and them doing really well. I was really proud of them. So yeah, that was my mood boost this week.
Nice.
And you?
My weekly mood boost, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll actually see behind us in the studio we have some beautiful watercolor paintings of us, done by the amazing Kate Young, fantastic artist. She's brilliant, talented, and what's even cooler is she left her job to become a full-time passion job person with her purpose. So it was lovely. We met her after the 10K in Battersea Park Christmas. We saw what she was doing. Like, this is so cool. We got to speaking with her, and she sent us a couple of beautiful watercolored paintings up behind us in the studio, which you can see if you're on YouTube. And they arrived, and they've been up for a couple of weeks now, and they're incredible. So that's boosted my mood.
Cool.
Indeed.
Lovely job.
Thank you very much.
I think that's boosted my mood as a general episode.
100%.
Whatever you guys are up to this week, whenever you're listening to this, whether it's the day of release or whenever, I hope you're well.
Hope you're well.
And finding your joy in your everyday and your meaning in your everyday. Let us know whether that is
if you think you found your purpose.
Yeah, your lovely coffee this morning, or you...
Sun's out.
I don't know, you've solved, God please be the case, you've solved all the wars in the world and we found world
You've
peace.
Solved the wars, what the problem was.
Oh, that would be great.
That classic problem.
But yes, I hope you're all well. Thank you for being here. Thanks
for listening, everyone.
I will do some ASMR.
Turn it off.
While Carlos turns it off. So, what do I ASMR today? ASMR. This ASMR lark is, are you still enjoying the ASMR? Let us know. ASMR.